Yo, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today, as you saw by the title, I'm gonna be showing you guys my sense on Warzone, tips and stuff that I use and play Warzone on. Mind you, I'm a console player. I play on Xbox, so I'm gonna be telling you guys my warm-up, my drills, and like all that stuff that I do. It's nothing really too crazy, but this is what I do every day when I get on Warzone and stuff like that, and stuff that can help you be a better player. Now, I don't really know if this works for like PC players. It probably could, but for my sense, it's mainly for consoles. So, alright, so first off, I'm gonna get into my sensitivity and why I use it. As you see here, my dead zone 0.8, 8.8 horizontal and vertical. I'm gonna go through this one by one. So dead zone, it's really just about your controller. Like dead zone, don't copy my dead zone at all. Dead zone is like your stick drift. So there's like a little, just imagine like a little circle in the inside of your thing, of your stick, and when you push it, it has to get pushed a certain amount so it can register that it's being pushed. And so this is really just for a stick drift. So if you have like bad stick drift, I recommend turning it up. Now I have stick drift, but I keep it at 0.8, and my stick drift is pretty bad, but I mean it could get worse and it could be better, but I just keep it at 0.8 because that's what I put it. It used to be at 0.9, but then I put it down. Alright, so we have the vertical and a horizontal stick sensitivity. Now this, you can do a lot of things with this, but I have it at 8.8. Now I'm gonna tell you guys how my settings came to be. So I first played Warzone, and I'm a high sense player. Usually I play on a high sense, and I like to flick around people and stuff like that. So when I played multiplayer a lot and I wasn't really into Warzone like that, I played on linear, and I used to play like some absurd sense like 16, 15. And slowly over time I took breaks off the game, and so what that did was I could not get used to my sensitivity anymore. It was very, very hard to get used to my sensitivity. And yeah, I just, I had to switch it down and stuff like that. And I tried so many like new sense. I took a break from the game one time, and then I took another break again. And this is when I came back. And so this sensitivity, I was like looking for everything. I was searching, looking at so many pro sensitivities, and I was trying every single one from 15, even 20. But I'm telling you guys, if you want to be consistent in Warzone and you want to always have like good aim, see, high sense is not bad, but if you want to be like more consistent, unless you get good on a high sense, like if you get really good and your aim is consistent on a high sense is good. But most of the time it's better to play on a low sense because it's going to be overall more consistent. The only thing about a low sense is if you get shot in your back, you won't be able to turn on them. So that's really the only thing about a low sense. Everything else is really, really good. You might have to adapt and have to get better game sense, because that's what I did. With a higher sense, you don't really have to get like crazy game sense, because you can always just flick around in rooms, and if you get shot in the back, you just have to flick. But with a low sense, it kind of takes a little bit more time to do that. So gathering game sense and putting your sense very low, it can help you with game sense as well, and gathering information. Alright, so now we're on to the low zoom and the high zoom. So I've been experimenting with these ones. If 8.8, I'm gonna keep it as that. That's like a really good sense for me. But for the low zoom and high zoom, I've just been playing around with them, so this might change, it might not. But right now I've been messing with 0.89. I feel like 0.90 might be like a little bit too fast. I've been trying to go down to 0.85 because I know Joel, he plays on PC. Even though I play on console, he plays on 6.6 with 0.85 low zoom. On console, you don't really have the advantage of FOV, 120 FOV, so you need to make up for it somehow. And I don't know, I've been just messing around with it. I've been putting it at 0.88. Right now 0.89 feels pretty solid though, and I might keep it as this if anything else doesn't work. For my high zoom, I don't really know, but I've been using 1 for most of the time, and now I switch back down to 0.95. I'm just really seeing what works. I don't know if a low zoom is higher, like a low sense for the high zoom is better, or a higher one, because people always say higher is better, but I feel like I miss a lot of my shots because I can't be as precise as I want to. So I've been keeping it at 0.95 just to mess around with it. This is probably gonna change, but I guess we'll see. Next, we have the aim response curve type. So like a lot of people have different options, so it really just depends. Like honestly, in my opinion, settings there aren't really too crazy in my opinion. Like I wouldn't really copy settings. I would just get my settings as a base, or anybody's settings as a base, to provide for your own settings, because not everybody is gonna be able to, you know, like the same exact sensitivity and stuff. Everybody has a different feel. So as you can see here, I'm just trying to give you tips on how to find it. Not really, oh, copy these and you'll have aimbot. Like, it's not really how that works. So I recommend using my settings as a baseline, especially if you're on console, using my settings as a baseline to, you know, see what works and what doesn't. For me, I would say don't go under 6 on console. Don't go under 6, and don't go over 12. At least like 12 or 11 sensitivity for your horizontal stick sensitivity and your vertical stick sensitivity. Because in my opinion, I don't really think that it's the best idea. For dynamic, I played on linear. I never really played on standard unless I first started the game. But I instantly watched a bunch of YouTube videos on, you know, how to get the right sense. And some dude told me linear was good. I played on linear for like most of my time playing the game at the start. And so I really did get used to linear and that raw input. So that's why when I play on linear, my aim is still pretty good. But if you're a person that, you know, wants to have pretty fine aim, I recommend dynamic. Dynamic is the one that everybody uses. Linear isn't necessarily bad, but I feel like dynamic, you know, is like if linear and like standard kind of had a baby and you were able to have it. I don't really know the exact like curves and stuff like that. All I know is that dynamic is way more consistent than linear, but it all is in your field. So if you like linear more and you play way more consistently with linear, then I would recommend clicking linear. If you like standard more, then play standard. But this is just my you know, what I encourage you to use. Now for the controller vibration, I recommend having that on disabled. If you are used to playing with controller vibration, I recommend turning that off right now. It's gonna feel a little bit weird to get used to when you're not shooting your gun and your whole controller is not vibrating. But trust me, even though it's like a little bit, like a little change, it will significantly help your aim, because when you shoot, your controller is not jumping up and down and rumbling. So I really recommend turning off controller vibration. The only time I have controller vibration on is when I'm playing like a story game and I'm not really playing competitively against other people. Aim assist, I have it on standard. Now there's many different aim assists that you can use, but in my opinion, standard is like just the best. You know, you have people using precision, focusing, and all this type of stuff, but I just recommend that standard is like the best for anything. I don't really recommend like doing anything else. These are just my other settings. I'm not really gonna go into detail about these settings because I don't really think they're too crazy, but I recommend putting this on Contextual Chat, because what it does is in Warzone, you're gonna of course need to pick up stuff like really quickly. So this just makes it so you can like tap it once and it's in your inventory. So this is necessity right here. For armor plate behavior, I recommend putting it on apply all, because instead of having to hold it down and do like a little bit of a claw thing, you can just hold it and then it'll put it on automatically. And I like that a lot. And then you can press like B or Y again, or like a circle and triangle again to, you know, unpause that little animation. Now we have slide behavior, put it on tab. I'm not really just gonna explain this stuff. Okay, so automatic sprint, I recommend putting this on auto tac sprint. So if you don't know what tac sprint is, there's like 3 different types of movement, I guess you could say, in this game. So you have regular walking, which is, you know, just walking, not running at all. Then you have running. This is running when your gun is in front of you. And then tac sprint is where your gun is in the air and you're running like as fast as you can. So tac sprint only lasts for like a little bit. Most of the time you're either going to be walking or running, but I recommend putting this on auto tac sprint, because you don't need a double tap to, you know, access the tac sprint. So you could just push your stick forward and boom, it'll automatically tac sprint for you. This makes movement insanely good, and so I really recommend putting this on if you're having trouble with movement. Now here we have parachute auto deploy. This is really just preference. It really depends if you could time your parachutes. I like to have this off so I could get the drop faster, because when it's on, it automatically redeploys it. So when you're trying to drop into a hot place, the game automatically deploys it where it think you should deploy it. So I have this off mainly just so I land, and right before I hit the ground, I pull my parachute. It's really risky, but if you use it a lot and you get the timing down, you can easily perfect it. And I think it's a really great option that people underestimate. Now we just have my general here. As you can see, I'm just not really gonna go through this too much. Here we have Detonopia. Now, you know, people use Tritanopia, and Tritanopia is not necessarily bad, but ever since I've been playing with Detonopia, I found that it's not too bright, but it's also really, really good. If you go back to standard here and disabled, you can see it's a little bit different here. I just like it on Detonopia. If you like it a little bit more bright, then I would put it on Tritanopia, but for me, it's this one right here. You want to put the colorblind target on both, and then also weapon motion blur and world motion blur. This should be always turn it off, unless you're going for like some cool weird clips. Then I would turn it on, but for like playing competitively, you're not gonna be able to see a damn thing, so I would turn that off. Next, we have minimap shape. I see a lot of people running circle, and circle actually, it cuts off a little bit of the map, and so that might not be too big, but in Warzone, if you have a UAV popped, you can't really see them on your minimap, and that could come in clutch sometimes, so I recommend having that on square. Minimap rotation, I don't really care. This doesn't really matter. It's just whichever one you prefer, so that doesn't really matter, and all this is just preference. Now we have audio. So I've been trying out the best audios that you should each try is boost high and boost low. Those are like the two main audios that everybody uses, so go right now if you don't have it and change it to boost low. This is going to be able to boost the sound effects that are low inside the game, such as things like footsteps and stuff like that, and chests as well, so you can hear, you know, chests where chests are. You know, you can put on boost high, but I personally like boost low. I tried turning it on boost high, and it sounds a little bit weird. Next, we have the volume here. I have my master volume 100. Music volume is down because I don't want to be in the middle of a game and hear dum 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 and some like music. Dialogue volume is 25. I want to hear comms like, oh, I'm being shot at and stuff like that, because you could get really good comms if you hear that, like, oh, placing a claymore or something like that. But I don't want to have it too loud to the point where I hear, that's all I hear. Effects volume 100, this is where like the loot chest or the footsteps are going to be coming in and all that good stuff. Juggernaut music, have it enabled. I don't really know what that is. I mean, I know it's for the Juggernaut, but I don't really care about that. Hit marker sound effects is really just preference. I have it on classic. I love the classic hit marker sound effect. It's just beautiful, honestly. Mono audio, this is so like it provides directional sound, as you can see. I don't really know too much about this, so I just leave it on disable for me, but you could try it out if you want. As I said, this is mainly just preference. All this too is just preference, but you could copy it. Alright, so that is enough for my settings, and we're gonna go into a warm-up drill to show you what I do if I want to warm up. Okay, so this drill, it is for free-to-play players, so people that don't have multiplayer. I'll probably make another video in the future talking about movement and movement that you can do in Warzone. And this is mainly just for free-to-play players that don't have multiplayer. They can do the drill, the other drill that I have. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna get any gun that you want to practice with and go into plunder. Plunder, don't fail, and just use any gun you want and just start practicing, see what's good. And if you start missing your shots, turn down your sensitivity and try to find what it is about your sensitivity that you need to change. As I said, I'll be making a video on movement, a movement guide, and also my second drill. I'll make the video saying what guns to use, all that good stuff. But right now, I'm just going to be focusing on settings for my console players, because us console players, we get no love, in my opinion. It's mainly all the PC guys with the controllers and stuff. Alright, so as you can see here, I'm using a AMAX with the PPSH. Right now, as I'm making this video, the PPSH... pretty good. The class that I have for it is really fast. I'll show you the class real quick here. Sound suppressor 15.7 task force, Spetnaz 71 round drum, or you can use 55 serpent and PKM stock. This class is really fast. It could be even faster if I did not put that little drum on it. Alright, so the place where to land, you don't want to land in any other place other than Storage Town. This is the best spot. Everybody goes here to get some kills. People land on the top containers, and this spot is just a really, really good spot, and I recommend going to practice and get kills. Now, the reason you need to play plunder and not just head straight into a Warzone match is pretty obvious. It's because you won't be able to practice that much. Remember, you don't have to have straight aimbot and hit all your shots. As long as you know that you're playing consistent and winning most of your gunfights, then it's a good sense. You don't have to be aimbot. Like, I know a lot of people, they watch these streamers and they see that they have really good aim, and that's because they have a bunch of hours in it. You barely just started using these settings, so that's my motivation for you. And I like playing Don't Fail because if my teammates do die, we're not going to land at a whole nother place. So you should get constant practice. see. I'm gonna give you a little tip here that you might have heard before, might have not, and this is probably why you're losing gunfights. Now I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm really good. I don't know why I'm losing gunfights. I don't know this and that." But it's actually a really big reason that it took me a while to learn as well. See, when we're playing Battle Royale, any Battle Royale game, we're mainly looking at the ground, like most of the time, to look for loot. Like most loot is on the ground, right here. So when we fight, we're gonna be running into fights like this. You don't want to run into fights like this. Like look, you see, like this. I'm gonna die because look. Let me get into a fight like this real quick. I run into a fight while looking at the ground right now. This is called censoring. You see there? I had to adjust my crosshair to be able to even kill that guy. As you can see, it's a big thing called centering. So there's a huge difference by looking at the ground and looking where you would see somebody. So I'm gonna show you when I land back in. All right, so most people, they look like this at the ground and run across. You don't want to do this. See, look, when I'm shooting at, when I'm about to shoot at this guy, I'm at the ground. I have to make a little adjustment to look up. See? But if I'm already looking eye level, I can easily, you know, get kills. But say I'm sniping, I'm looking up, boom, have to make an adjustment. In that little millisecond, whatever, it's gonna hurt you badly. Trust me, every second counts in this game. Especially when the TTK is this fast. So you have to account for things like this. So instead of walking around like this, I've seen people were really bad. I'm still trying to get better crosshair placement, stuff like that, and better centering. So as you can see, this guy, he was centering pretty well. He was looking up at where he would see. Now you don't need to be looking straight up and looking at their head. Just look where you would see a body, because yeah, it's also kind of harder to hit headshots, and you will hit headshots normally, but just look where you would see someone's body. So that's one really big tip. So say right now I'm pushing this house. So that's one of the big things that has helped me win way more gunfights. I started learning about censoring and started learning how to prevent it. Now, it's really kind of hard to prevent it and, you know, stop it. But what I did to help me was I just told myself, learn censoring. I told myself in the game while I was looting, after I looted, I looked at the ground and I told myself, look back up, look where you would see people. So you want to actively tell yourself in the middle of the game. It can get annoying, but you have to actively tell yourself in the middle of the game, look up, center. Because if you don't say anything to yourself and you're just walking around, you're gonna keep on doing the same habit. As you can see here, I'm always do it when you're expecting a fight also, but always whenever. It's really good just to practice censoring, because you don't want to run around looking like this and then having to adjust. As you can see, if I push a fight like this, you want to make sure, like say there's like a window up here and I'm looking down here, I'm gonna get shot at. I have to adjust. So while you're pushing a building, you want to look center, because if somebody pops out, most of the time you're gonna win your gunfights because you already have your crosshair on where he's gonna go. All you have to do is shoot and boom. As you can see, censored crosshair, easy kill right there. Even though they weren't looking at me, censored crosshair is really good. Now it also depends on your aim as well. So centering, it's not gonna give you straight aimbot, but it's gonna help you significantly. That's what I can tell you. Yeah, that's like my little secret that everybody should know, honestly, in my opinion. Like, so many more people would win so many more fights if they knew about censoring. But that's really it for this video. I just wanted to touch over something. I'm gonna make another video talking about other stuff I wanted to, but this video is good enough for now. Hope all of you took something, at least one thing from this video, and it can help you better yourself in Warzone. I'm just here to make you guys laugh, have fun, and also give you some tips and tricks. Mainly for the console players, because I understand how underestimated, underrated that we can be. With that being said, see you guys in the next video. Peace. I'm getting it real quick.